Hey, it's Ayla, and you're listening to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about balance. Does it really exist, or is it just a myth we tell ourselves? Some say that balance is impossible, that it's just a fleeting moment, not a state you can achieve. But what if we've been thinking about balance all wrong? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Ayla, and for over a decade I've been dedicated to helping entrepreneurs thrive. Welcome to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. Here we focus on personal growth so your business can grow alongside you. Discover how to optimize your business, elevate your mindset, and truly feel and act like a CEO. This is more than just business, it's about transforming your entire entrepreneurial journey. Join me on this path to unlock your fullest potential. Hello, my darling. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here for another episode. And thank you as well for yourself for making the time available for you to learn new things and grow and listen to podcasts in general, because you are here now and you want to go somewhere along the way, somewhere further. And you decided that listening to podcasts is a way to do that. And I'm very thankful for that, for me and for you. Yes, we're going to talk about balance today, which is a fun topic. It's a hot topic, and I think there are a lot of opinions available on it. I'm going to give you my humble view on it today. I mean, I teach balance to mompreneurs, so basically everything I say has to do with balance, but I wanted to really get into the concept a bit today. Today I finalized a coaching journey for a client. We've been working together. She had a 3-month package with me. And today we had the final coaching session. And it is so awesome to see where she went in just 3 months. She came in overwhelmed. She wanted to do everything. She didn't have time for anything. She was letting the things that she thought she needed to do rule her days, which meant that she never actually had time for the things that she wanted to do. And we turned it around. I helped her become vision-driven. And when you are vision-driven, you know what to do. And that's what I saw it in her face, like how she's sitting behind the camera now versus to when we started. She's so more energized now, and she knows what to do. More importantly, and a big thing for her is that she now can say no, almost guilt-free. She's not feeling the need to explain to others why she's saying no. She's just saying no. Even that is just a massive step, and I'm so proud of her. We had so much fun along the way. And it helped me realize as well, like this whole coaching journey for her. It's such a blessing to be a coach. I really love it. It's not long ago that I was still working in a done for you and a done with you situation with clients, where I would be heavily involved in their businesses to help it streamline, to help them make their lives easier, to create that balance with them, for them. And when I switched to coaching, I was a bit afraid that I might maybe find it boring, that I would have itching hands to start helping out on site. I always did it virtually, but like on site virtually. And I am loving it to not have to do that, but to help people find their own way. It's such a joy to do. It's so nice to see how the whole balancing thing works out for mompreneurs. I have this amazing Notion dashboard, of course, because I love Notion. I have this amazing Notion podcast dashboard with all my podcast ideas, and I found one with the title "Balance is a Fluid Thing," and there was a complete word vomit in there about balance. And I saw or heard somewhere that somebody was saying balance is not the right word for it. We shouldn't be calling it balance anymore. We should be calling it work-life integration. And I see where that's coming from, but it just doesn't sound very good to me. I like the word balance. I don't like it when it's called work-life integration, because it makes it feel so I don't know, disciplined, almost military work-life integration. I'm striving for balance. So today I wanted to make a case for balance. Also having to do with my situation the last few weeks, where I have been heavily leaning onto my own systems that help me when the balance is unbalanced. I think I already told this in the last episode, but we had a sick kid around here. She had the flu, like the actual flu, super high fever. At the same time, my husband had a sprained ankle and couldn't walk. I was working. I came back from a 2-day holiday, so I had stuff to catch up on. But then they got sick, I got sick, and just everything went to shit. And for a moment there, I was feeling really bad. Like, how can you teach balance to other moms when your life is unhinged when something like this happens? But I realized that's why I teach this. That's why one part of being balanced is being prepared for when it all goes to shit. Because if you're a mom and you're an entrepreneur, you know that from time to time things are going to get very unbalanced, and it's a very good idea to be prepared for that. So when it happens, in the moment I was feeling bad, but when I zoomed out, I was like, I got this. Doesn't matter. Like, this is why I'm doing it all. So I gave myself grace because, well, to me, that's what balance is leaning one way and then leaning the other way. A mistake that many people make is that they believe that balance, it has to be this perfect static state where everything in life aligns neatly. So that's work, family, self-care, and it's all perfectly balanced out. But that's not realistic. That's not how life works. And the truth is, life is messy, life is unpredictable, and it's ever-changing. Especially, I feel, with little children. Like, our youngest just went to school, and of course, like, virus boom, everything is upside down. I don't know, I don't have older kids yet, but I have a feeling that when they're older, that's gonna even out a bit more. That the little ones are making it especially unpredictable. But if you look at it that way, I think that if you believe that balance is static, this makes balance feel absolutely unattainable for most of us. And when we try to keep up this unrealistic idea of balance, because I think it's also, balance is a bit glorified. Like, you have to have everything in balance. Only then is your life Instagram worthy. And I think that when we try to achieve that static balance, is we burn out because we're trying to give everything to everyone because we feel like we need to give everything equal attention. That's balance, equal. And we feel guilty when we're leaning into one area of our life, thinking that we're automatically failing in another. This is what happened to me when everyone got sick. I was leaning heavily into my role as a mom, into our family life, and immediately thinking, I should really be working right now. I'm failing if I'm not working at the same time as well. And I think that when you keep this up long enough, the worst thing is that we start to believe that balance isn't possible at all. We give up on the idea of living a life where everything feels aligned because you're like, that's never gonna happen. But I think that when you look at balance as a fluid thing, hence the title of my word vomit, balance is fluid, you realize balance is not something to fear or something to work towards. It's something to practice. And I had in mind this vision of a rope walker. A rope walker has to adjust every step of the way, but the goal is always to move forward, not stand still in perfect balance. Maybe if you're a real cool rope walker who has one of those little one-wheel bikes and has balancing plates on their heads. But generally, if we're talking about the really scary rope walker people who go from skyscraper to skyscraper, that has me. I have a terrible fear of heights, so that gives me the creeps. They are moving forward. They're going from one skyscraper to the next on a tightrope, and they have this long-ass balancing stick that helps them keep the balance. They're going forward. And every adjustment that they make it makes them stronger, it makes them more agile, it makes them more confident. They don't panic when the stick wobbles. They expect it to wobble along the way. And the key isn't to avoid imbalance, it's learning how to navigate it when it happens. So imagine yourself on that tightrope holding that long ass balancing stick. I think that life isn't asking you to never wobble. It's asking you to respond to when you wobble. When one side feels heavy, like if you were to balance everything that you have on that stick, and one side feels too heavy, your business, your family, or even yourself, you shift your weight, you recalibrate, and you keep on walking. And every time you adjust, you get closer to alignment, and you get closer to the other side, to reaching the other skyscraper, to reaching your goals. So being out of balance isn't the problem. Like, you need to recalibrate, and it's a journey that you're on. I'm going to keep it in a circus area today. Because when I say that I teach balance to mompreneurs, I don't teach them to juggle all the balls. That's what it's a vision I often have in my mind of mompreneurs who are trying to do everything, and then just picture one of those jugglers who has like 6 or 7 balls or vases that they're juggling with, and I just go, oh, that also gives me anxiety. Like, what? Don't drop on. That's not what I teach when I teach balance. I teach mompreneurs to become the most efficient rope walkers you can possibly imagine. So back to the image of you being a rope walker. Imagine that all the aspects of your life are a weight on your balancing stick. And then I don't mean that you have just like 3 or 4, like your business, family, household, and yourself. No. Every aspect within your business is a weight of its own. So you have a marketing weight and a sales weight, a manager role weight, administration weight. And this also for your family, for your self-care, because you want to eat healthy and you also want to work out a bit, but you also want to relax. So for everything, there's a little weight, and you need to balance all of them on your stick that keeps you balanced when you're walking the rope. You could balance everything out as well as possible, and then you start crossing your rope, and then the weights start to shift around a bit, because that's what they do. One weight shifts to the other side, and I'm back again, and you need to adjust along the way as you go. But you could also look at this and be smart about it. You could let go of some of the weights. You can delegate some, and then you have less weights to carry to the other side. And you can also tie some of the weights to your stick so they don't shift around so much anymore. And when you walk the rope with those weights tied down, you don't have to adjust so heavily along the way, because there's a base of weights that are already, they're fixed onto your stick. So the weights that are still able to loosen, that are still able to shift around, it's a lot less than what you had before. And well, to me, this is basically like outsourcing, delegating. So you have less weights and having your basics in order. So you have in your company, when you work, you have theme days, you have efficiency systems, there's routines in your family, you plan according to your cycle, you know exactly what to expect. And this also, this adheres to the rope as well. If you take cycle planning into account, for example, if you know that your rope has a big bump in it halfway through, if you know this beforehand, you can adjust when you get there. But if you're surprised by the bump in your rope, you need to adjust way more heavily. So if you have a regular cycle and you can plan according to your cycle, this is going to help so much. And this is the same for everything. I'm now talking about the menstruation cycle, but there are, of course, more cycles in life. For me, for example, we live in the southwest of France and we get these wonderful summers, and all our friends and family live in Holland and they have Dutch summers, which can be nice, but are very often not so nice. And we have the big castle, we have the swimming pool. In the future, we also will have vacation houses here where they can go, but right now they're coming here to stay with us in the castle with their families, which means that for us, the summer is a very busy period. Our kids have 2 whole months of summer holiday, and this year for the first time, we have the 2 kids, the 2 months entirely. I could be surprised by this. By the end of July, is it no June? Oh jeez. By the end of June, I just can go. Oh shoot. Well, okay, my kids are coming home for 2 months now. What the heck am I gonna do about my business? Because everything keeps going, and then here I have two kids that I also need to take care of. Or I can see this bump in my rope coming way ahead and plan ahead and adjust accordingly before I hit that bump. So when I talk about cycles, it's your monthly cycle, your menstruation cycle, but it's depending on what you do. If you have a vegetable garden, you're gonna be more busy in the summer months with that than you are in the winter. You know this, you can adjust. And I think that the more lighter your load and a more stable your load, so this means tying those weights down into routines, efficiency, etc. It means that you're just better equipped to handle life's wobbles. You know, it's gonna happen. Everyone is gonna get sick at one point, and you don't know when it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and when you feel like you're better balanced out in your load, you can just bounce back better. When I finally got back into my office, it was nearly a month. Like I planned for 2 weeks off, and it was maybe even longer than a month. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't plan for it to be that long to be away from work. And I was kind of dreading going back because I had all these tasks running around in my head, like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I bounced back so well because I have my systems in place. I know exactly what I can delegate. I know what tasks I have to do now, what tasks I can just push a bit further into the future. And then I have a good system in place that actually keeps the tasks there. So it's out of my head. I don't have to, like, my head's busy enough as it is. And yeah, I was so happy that I bounced back so amazingly. So that's one of the benefits, I think, for being a good rope walker, having a good balance in your life. You build resilience and you'll build confidence along the way. The longer you manage your weights better, it's going to help you focus on crossing the rope. You're not stuck in place trying to prevent all the weights from falling off your stick or shifting around. You can look ahead. You can see where you're going. And it helps you be vision driven instead of just staying stuck in the weeds of everyday life. Because that's what I think a lot of mompreneurs end up in when the shit hits the fan. They fall completely out of balance, and then they need to pick up the pieces of all the areas of life. And I think that when you're vision driven and you have your basics down, you can more easily step over those fallen pieces because you know they're gonna bounce back. So this, if you look at it this way, it redefines balance as something strategic, something intentional. It's not something to strive for in everyday life. It's something to take into account in the long run. It's not about carrying every weight perfectly. It's about deciding which weights are you going to carry, how you're going to carry them, or when are you going to let them go? Are you going to lighten your load? Are you going to stabilize your stick? Are you going to focus your energy? And this makes balance way more achievable. And I think by having an achievable balance, it makes your life more fulfilling. Because everything just feels easier when you look at it like this. So, okay, if you're now going, okay, cool, I want to learn how to rope walk with all my weights as well. First step you're going to take is identify your weights. What is going on in your business? What are like all the different weights that you're carrying? What's going on in your personal life? So business, as I said, marketing, sales, client work, administration, content creation, especially for the moms with the smaller companies, it's often all of them. You have all of these weights. What are things that you can let go of? What can you delegate? What can you tie down? So for me, for example, theme days is something that's just working very well. Sorry, I was meant to talk about that further along. Yeah, okay, back to the weights. Personal, you have motherhood, you have the household tasks, you have self-care, you have your relationships. Those are all weights that you have on your stick. And if you want to improve your balance, you have to identify what the weights are that are on your stick. And then you let go. You outsource your administration. You know me by now. I'm preach, outsource your administration. If it's not helping you generate profit for your company, outsource it. What good does it do that you can do your own administration? Outsource it, please. Hire a VA for podcast scheduling. That's high on my wish list. Help with social media. I have a very nice social media VA. She is helping me set up a strategy for Instagram because I noticed I love writing. I love words. I love telling you things, teaching you things. And I like being on camera. Like, I don't hesitate to film myself, talk to the camera, etc. What I was struggling with is putting two and two together. So I have this whole database of posts that I want to publish, and I have this whole folder of videos of me. And then I'm dreading the task of actually creating those reels, creating those posts, and planning them, etc. So I hired somebody to do that specific task for me. So when you think of outsourcing, there are nuances when you outsource. You don't have to immediately give away everything and say, okay, I want to outsource my social media, and now you also have to write my texts for me. For me, I want to be in control of my own messaging, and I am not doing this long enough yet that I feel confident to outsource that to someone else. But the practical task of just simply putting a video with text, putting it in a scheduler, etc., that's something that was costing me a lot of money. Taking me a lot of time. And so I outsourced it so I can spend that time doing something that will generate revenue for the business. And then for personal, there are several things you can do. Of course, you can ask for help with childcare. Notice how I specifically say ask for help and not outsource or pay for it. You can, of course, but you can also ask. If you have the right people around you, don't be afraid to ask for help from time to time. It doesn't mean that you drop your kids off at your parents' house every day after school, but you can ask for help if the balance is out of balance. Like if your stick has all shifted to one side because everybody got sick, give them your kid for an afternoon in the week so you can get the household back in order, because when everyone is sick, you want to air things out and you want to wash, and that's going to take you more time than your usual laundry run will take you. Ask for help from time to time. You could order a meal service, you could order a recipe box, you could hire a cleaner. There are so many things that you can do to lighten the load of your personal life as well. And then when you have done that and you have the weights that remain, you need to tie them down to your stick so they don't shift around so much anymore. And as I said before, theme days are very, very helpful for me. I know that Thursdays are for renovations and podcasts, which means that on the other days of the week, I don't have to think about my renovation projects. I know that I have a million things to do, but I can stress about them on a Tuesday, but there's nothing I can do. I'm tied up in coaching sessions with clients. Tuesday is also one of my theme days for content. So it's coaching clients and creating content. So I'm not even going to think about renovations on a Tuesday because I know that I have dedicated time for that on Thursday. So it doesn't only make my weekly schedule, it gives it a better overview for my weekly schedule, but it's out of my head. So I have brain space for other stuff. So yeah, theme days are really so amazing. Creating routines is another one. The goal is to spend less brain power on things that you don't need to think about anymore. Shifting tasks. So routines are amazing for this. And this is, of course, I think that by now when you say a morning routine, there's a lot of people who think about beauty, about the order in which to apply your facial creams. Yes, that's a routine as well. I was gonna shit on it for a bit. You hear that in my voice? But it's actually really nice because you don't have to think about it anymore. And that's the whole purpose of routines. There's morning routines for self-improvement, but there are also routines that you can implement for dinner time, for with your kids, for bedtime routines, etc., etc. When everybody knows what to expect, there will be less questions, there will be less discussions, and it will overall just lighten the load of your brain power. And then, of course, one thing to help you tie those weights down are efficiency tools. As I mentioned, Notion. I adore Notion for my task management. Without it, my brain would scramble and fry. It doesn't have to be Notion, can be a lot of programs. I have templates for templates. That's really, templates save you so much time, so much thinking. And honestly, when you type something more than once, you need a template for it. That's basically the rule. Right now, I'm planning a lot of podcast interviews with amazing women. And so I am writing confirmation emails where they can schedule, etc. I thought about it one time. I wrote one email and I now have it saved as a template. It links to my calendar where they can book their recording hours. And I don't have to think about it ever again. Next time I'm planning someone in, boom, here's the email. This is the subject line. Here you can click here and it automatically brings you to my calendar. My calendar is automatically booked. When that happens, this happens, blah, 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 blah. It took me one time to figure this out, to write it out, to create it, and now it saves me time forever. Templates for templates, seriously. Other efficiency tools, time blocking, there's apps on your phones. There's so much. There's too much for one episode. And then finally, so by now you have identified your weights, you have let go of some of the weights on your wobbly balance stick, and you have tied down the weights that remain so they don't shift around anymore. And then you are left with some wobbly weights that you couldn't tie down, that you couldn't let go of. They will always be there. Your kids are your wobbly weights. Your clients may be your wobbly weights. If your income shifts, your clients shifts, they can be wobbly weights. And you need to make a plan on how to handle those. Science shows that when you plan for obstacles, you decide in advance how you're going to handle them, you're much more likely to actually reach your goals. Researchers have found that creating specific plans, they're called implementation intentions, can increase your chances of success by up to, hold your horse, 65%. 65% more chance of actually achieving your goals when you prepare in advance how you're going to handle obstacles. And when you combine this with a technique that's called mental contrasting, you're even more likely to succeed. And mental contrasting is where you think about the future, so you're vision driven, but also you're thinking about the challenges that you're going to face along the way. So it gives you the resilience to face challenges in advance. You're not doom thinking here, you're preparing for the wobbly weights to shift around. So if this is something that you want to do, however, if you encounter a bump in your rope, if the balance fall, like all the plates fall off and it's just, sometimes you're too late. It's just the way of life. Like you can plan ahead all that you want. Sometimes life's just gonna life. What you can do then is basically turn inwards. That's always what helps me the most. Ask yourself some questions. Go sit in silence and put these questions into your subconscious and just sit with it for a bit. Don't actually think about it with your conscious mind trying to come up with a solution. No, just put it out there and see what your brain comes up with. And questions that I like to ask my subconscious in moments like those are, what can I adjust today to maintain balance? And usually something will pop up very quickly. Trust what pops up for you. Maybe it's just prioritizing one task. Maybe it's saying no to something. Maybe it's taking a moment for yourself. It can be anything, but it will usually pop up quite quickly when I ask myself, what can I do today to maintain balance? Yeah, that's basically it. So now you know how to become a very good rope walker, and you can just cross from skyscraper to skyscraper without dropping one of your weights. And I think that this whole way of thinking about it makes balance, in my mind at least, it makes balance so much more achievable. It makes it a fun thing as well. You're gonna wobble, you just shift your weights around. It's gonna happen, and it's never gonna be perfect. You're always gonna be balancing from one step to the next and adjusting. And just even the fact that when you first get onto a tightrope, so for example, when you have a new baby in the family, or you start a new project in your business, it's going to be extra wobbly. You need to adjust a bit more, but you just know that when you have this all under, well, I don't want to say under your control because that sounds so fixed, but when you have a plan on how to handle all these weights shifting around, when you apply what we've just all talked about, you will get better at keeping that balance, and it will be so much quicker. It will be happening so much quicker than you think it will in the beginning. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope to see you in the next. There are a lot of very cool interviews coming up with successful entrepreneurs, and I'm very much looking forward to recording those and then sharing them with you. I've found so many women who are working in awesome niches, and they're really saying things that I think a lot of women, a lot of mompreneurs need to hear, and they can help so much, and I'm so excited for all of them to be recorded and published to you. Thank you for listening today, and I will see you in one of the next episodes. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. I hope you loved what you heard today. And if you did, it would mean a world to me if you could leave a review. Because believe it or not, reviews on podcasts are actually still used to make sure more people get to see this podcast in their screens and maybe click on it and learn something as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.